What I associate with my being a Danida scholar is my research on women and their engagement in violent crime in Uganda. So it is this which I associate with my time as a Danida scholar. I focused on women and their involvement in crime in Uganda. I went to prisons and I interviewed women in prison. I was able to see very clearly that the law impacts men and women differently. In patriarchal society, men have power and privilege as men. So if you are going to treat men and women in the same way, you are actually denying the reality that men and women are differently positioned in society. .99 of the women, percent of the women I interviewed in prison were actually from very, very poor backgrounds. They were disadvantaged women in our society. And that's when I came face to face with the reality that law and justice are not the same. I can say that the exposure I got as a result of this research has made me a different kind of judge.
What I associate with being a Danida researcher is a funny object. It's actually my bracelet. It's made of my country's flag. Benin's flag is green, yellow, and red. And then I mix it with the Danish flag, a kind of friendship that keeps me moving, kind of motivation, when you see how diverse my research has been. Before the PhD, I was connected to Denmark through another project, what we called Banfunland. A sponsor from Banfunland when I was a child, in primary school back in Benin. So that was already a strong bond with Denmark long ago. My connection to Denmark is professional, but research and also a bit emotional. I work on infectious diseases that have importance in the tropical region. That is my interest. But what I'm working on right now is cholera. I'm working on Vibrio cholera, the pathogen that causes cholera. Trying to understand both the ecology of the bacteria, but also the genomics and how they are related from the environmental samples to the humans. I just work on cholera because that is what I live with every day. In where I'm coming from, Benin, but also elsewhere on the continent, we have cholera outbreaks all the time. So it's better for me to do something or to work on a disease that is still an issue in my community, so I can feel helpful to my community. So the University of Copenhagen has opened doors for me to do much in-depth critical work, research, and then I get more collaborations, and I'm going for more conferences, and I've been able to publish in a journal that I would not have published in when I was home. I published in Frontiers in Microbiology, which is a high for me. It's not okay. It's a standard journal here. It's not that high, but it's high enough for me if I was supposed to publish from home. So those are many advantages that I can get here. The impact is, I think, highly significant. This exposure that I'm getting here has really impacted my work, because now I'm not just publishing manuscript for the sake of publishing. I'm now publishing something more critical and more valuable. So I need to go further and dig in. I need to use it now for further work. And I think for the next 5 years, I'm seeing myself quite higher than this. Yeah. I need to use this opportunity efficiently. Yeah.
One thing that gives me fond memories of Denmark is this mug. It was a gift from one of the collaborators, and each time I sip my coffee from it, it reminds me of the times that we had in the laboratories and in the outskirts of Copenhagen. There is one who has become virtually a family friend, and that is Lasse Mola Jensen. The advice that he gave made my work solid enough to end my PhD. Well, my interest was in applying GIS to diseases studies. I was looking at diseases, how they occur, and the environmental factors that determine their spread. We're looking at climate change, we're looking at floods, and Accra is typically prone to floods. Whenever there is flood in Accra, the city virtually comes to a standstill. So why not? If we have technologies that have been advanced to study this, why don't we take advantage of them? And if we have colleagues who have done this before, why don't we use their methodologies or apply them to our situation? This is a multidisciplinary approach to research, where we have southern counterparts who are here with the problem and our northern counterparts who have the technology. When we collaborate, the results are better.
Collaborating with Danish researchers, the first thing I think of is a publication. Because this was the first publication that we made, actually in the first project that we collaborated with Danish researchers. We looked into the standards and agro-food exports. In our department, that was the first of its kind, because we are an agriculture university, and many of the research that we do really look into productivity, how do we do with maize production, what do we do with that. But looking into these global standards and how they affect or how they impact on agriculture, or their effect on trade in this country was really new knowledge. We've created new knowledge. Actually, I've worked with Danish researchers for more than 10 years. I feel that we contribute equally for the teams that I've worked with, which is beneficial for development, for that matter. I need to see more of South-South and North collaboration. All these projects that I have been part of, there have been a component of training at PhD level. Quite a few of these trained PhD holders, doctors, they are now employed at the university, but also in government institutions. Without these collaborative research projects, of course, maybe they could have get a PhD, but maybe not so soon. We don't have that much funding for research, so having a research funding has also improved or has contributed into developing a capacity in doing research at this university. Teaching without doing research is blunt, so to speak. You need to do research in order to be able to relate with really world facts if you are really to teach right. So research have really contributed in terms of how best to do the teaching with real life examples from research.
I am proud to have been a part of the studentship of University of Copenhagen. And this I'm going to carry with me until it deteriorates by itself. I used to work in the pathology department where I was in charge of the cytology unit. I was so much into children because sometimes their tumors are so bizarre and it's heartbreaking to see them. And then there was this Danida scholarship that is related to malaria research. And so there is this cancer that was common among the children. It was one of the cancers that killed them the most. And it's associated with malaria, which is the endemic Beckett's lymphoma. And so I decided that is an opportunity for me to do a study in it, to be able to help the children.
Hey, Cecilia, let's go to my office and have a look at these results so we can see what has happened.
I'm collaborating with Lars Vid, who is my main supervisor. And he is much interested in malaria. And so we are looking at the role of malaria in the pathogenesis of the disease. Our research might lead to a better way of diagnosing the disease, and then it might lead to a form of treatment. Both my supervisors back here in Ghana and then in Denmark, Dr. Michael Fori in Ghana, getting what it takes for me to get the samples, he has been so helpful. And when I went to Denmark, my supervisor in Denmark, Lars, has been so helpful, getting all that I need to be able to do the work. In my family, I am the first to attain this level of education, that is PhD. And that is why I'm keeping this, to show it to my children and to show it to my family members, the young ones that are coming up, that everything that you want to do in life, if you are determined and you want to work at it, you will get there. They can also do it. They can also climb higher and higher.